get ready to fight from within. You're about to go behind enemy lines.
Roger, 3-2. Goliath copies all. Go ahead. Target is surrounded by multiple firms entering what appears to be a residential area. Requesting permission to engage.
From the People's Republic of New York City, you're now going behind enemy lines with Gene Baradelli and Russ Gallo. And you're now behind enemy lines. Hey there, how you doing, America? Gene Baradelli here with you. So glad that you're joining us this week, whether you're listening at www.behindenemylinesradio.us or if you're checking us out on your AM radio or FM radio or the internet radio. Glad you tuned in to us. Hope you got us locked and loaded and ready to go. Or if we're traveling along with you as a podcast, we're glad to be along for the ride. Thanks for downloading us, and we really appreciate it, guys. Listen, little shows like us, we depend on our audience. We love our audience to death, and we're so glad you can be with us. And because we love you so much, we're bringing you more from the Federation for American Immigration Reform's Hold Their Feet to the Fire Radio Row event. Got some great interviews from there. We're going to kick things off with the great senator from the state of Arkansas, Senator Boozman, and then we're going to move on to Congressman Jody Arrington from Texas, and a couple of surprises along the way. So, enough of me talking. Let's get to the interviews. And it is a true honor and pleasure to welcome to the show, from the great state of Arkansas, Senator John Boozman. Sir,
thank you for having me.
We are so not used to having someone of your stature coming on our little rinky-dink show. So forgive me if we're a little starstruck.
I don't believe that. If you have any trouble understanding me, being from Arkansas and you being from New York...
Well, I was hoping we had the New York to Arkansas translation.
We have some translators standing by.
Yes, we'll muddle through somehow, and vice versa. We drop our vowels very low.
Right.
So, you've been an advocate for immigration reform for quite a long time, and you kind of can see what we have now versus what we were dealing with a year ago. Obviously, being here at FAIR, the mood here is much more optimistic. Do you feel the same way in the work that you're doing in the Senate?
Oh, very much so, and you know, I came to the House in 2001 and have felt since I came here that, you need to secure your border for lots of reasons. Illegal immigration, we're a nation at war, we need to know who's coming in here. And then again, you've got the drug wars that are raging on the border. We don't want that stuff, which is already coming in the form of drugs, but we don't want the violence coming in across the border like they have in Mexico. So for those reasons, we need to do it. And protecting the American worker, and as you guys know, I mean, the list goes on and on. The good thing is with the new administration, with the Trump administration, what we're seeing is if you enforce the laws, border crossings go down dramatically. We're at the least recorded, I guess, and they're doing a great job of not catch and release right now, picking people up, sending them back. And as these villagers, see their loved ones come back that have essentially spent their life savings, and haven't gotten in to stay, then that really is changing attitudes.
Senator, why should Americans be skeptical when they hear their local politicians say, well, we'll enforce all this stuff and we'll build a wall, but let's do amnesty first? Why should we be skeptical when we hear these things?
Well, I'm very skeptical also. You're not going to hear that out of me, because the rest never happens. We saw that under Reagan, and I think Reagan, I guess Barbara Jordan, is that right? Back in those days, but again, they very much, in good faith, Democrat, Republican, felt like you needed to protect the American worker, protect the border for all the reasons I just said, but the other never gets done. And so that's why the president made a commitment to securing the border. I'm the chairman of Homeland Security Appropriations and deal with the administration on a weekly basis about this. And so they are very, very serious about getting this done. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, with what the wall, what the security looks like. You're going to have lots of fencing, but you're also going to use the technology that is truly amazing right now on rough terrain and things where you really can cover a lot of territory in difficult conditions. There's lots of little things. One of the things that our Border Patrol wants as much as anything is good roads so that they can go up and down, the terrain and apprehend people. So lots of moving parts, but General Kelly really is committed to
it. Almost seems like we're back in like the Eisenhower days. They want roads. You know what I mean? It's just such a common sense thing.
We're talking about, exactly.
Yeah.
And,
it's such a minimum,
not an interstate.
It's such a minimum requirement.
A road to be able to
that's
patrol.
Exactly right. They want to be able to, and these are little things, but they're big things. They want to be able to see through the fencing to keep themselves safe so that they'll know what's on the other side. And so the administration is working hard on a prototype, getting a plan that they can roll out, and I think we'll get tremendous support on the Republican side, but I think we'll actually get some. This will be a bipartisan effort by the time it's over.
I would hope so. I would hope also that we would see a bipartisan effort for two of the immigration enforcement bills that are coming before the House this week. One being Kate's Law, and the other being the No Sanctuary for Criminals Act. I'm trying to imagine a scenario in which Democrats would be able to push voting in favor of criminals.
Sure.
And I can't come up with one, maybe because I'm a reasonable conservative here, but do you feel there's going to be resistance to Kate's Law and No Sanctuary for Criminals here? I don't see how it could be done.
I'm like you. Common sense dictates that there wouldn't be, but who knows? And so the good news is I think we'll have the votes to get it passed. But there'll be some opposition. But both of those, the sanctuary cities, we're a nation of laws. You don't get to pick and choose which laws you're going to follow. You follow the law, and if not, then you can do that, but you need to be prepared that there's going to be, a price to pay for not being a lawful citizen.
And there absolutely should be. I mean,
exactly.
How many of us can selectively break the law? I mean, you can't say to the person pulling you over for a traffic ticket, well, I chose not to follow that law, and then expect no penalty for when you are found to have broken that law. That's essentially what we have right now, Russ.
Yeah, I don't want to poison the well, but President Trump ran as a master negotiator. Every member of the House that we speak to, including our own local member.
Don't bring them up.
I'm not going to bring them up.
Don't bring them up.
But, they're all confident we can get these things passed in the House, but, I don't know about the Senate. They keep throwing the Senate under the bus. How many Republicans votes do we have solid? 52? And maybe not even solid? What should Republicans or even rank-and-file Americans who are not Republicans think is going to happen in the Senate? Is there a way to deal with these people, or are they just going to take a hardline stance against any progress?
I think the way you deal with all of them, that are opposed is you do it through formats like this, the message that you guys are getting out and just, the truth into what's going on. So that's a first start. But you're exactly right. I mean, how do you defend taking somebody that is a criminal, and not following the protocol of turning those people over to ICE? I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all. And what we're seeing is, in the case of the Kate's Law and things like that, there is and has been such severe problems as a result of not doing that. I mean, it just makes sense. You're letting criminals out on the street. You're going to have problems. And the sad thing too is, they're not. These people that are letting them out on the streets, they're not going back to their neighborhoods. They're going back to these lower income neighborhoods and causing terror.
I mean, honestly, sir, I don't know.
Bragging about it.
I don't know how you can do it in the Senate because, I mean, they say there's two sides to every story, but there's not always two sides to every story. Like, what you're talking about is common sense. Someone's here illegally, they break the law. Like, there should be no such thing as a sanctuary city. It's not even like a logical argument. Right. I don't know how you can debate anyone in the Senate that should be a thing we're addressing.
How does your head not explode, I think, is what Russ is trying to ask.
Well, sadly, you've got a lot of outside groups that raise a lot of money over these issues, and I'm like you, and again, you don't have to worry about me. You can look at my voting record in the sense with these things.
But, a lifetime A+ grade from Numbers USA, absolutely.
But, it is difficult to rationalize how you're doing what you're elected to doing, whatever oath you swear when you're in a mayor's office or whatever. How do you do these things and then claim to be protecting the population?
Last question, because we know you have many people to visit while you're here at FAIR. You've been quoted as talking about our number one priority being national security with regards to refugee vetting. Now that the Supreme Court has removed the stay from portions of the President's executive order, how confident are you that the Department of Homeland Security will be able to bring about their own regulations now to accomplish the rigorous vetting that we've all been calling for months?
Well, what the president did, he didn't issue a ban in the sense of forever not letting these countries come into the country. What he did was, for I believe it was 90 days,
right,
say we're going to stop and we're going to work with the country, okay, and then see what they're doing, and then come up with some corrections. Now, Iraq immediately said we'll comply, but I think 4 of the 6 countries we don't even have embassies in. How do you know what's going on in a country like that? Many of the countries simply are not in governed states right now. So what we're trying to do is determine a system so that we know who's coming in. Those that conform and we can figure that out, then they will be allowed, but they're going to get very tough. The other thing that nobody's talking about is that they also said that they were going to look at the other countries, and you'll have potentially countries that aren't on that list that are doing a lousy job. Once they get in and really seeing the vetting process that they're due, I believe they'll comply. But it's just an effort to keep us safe, and we need to know who's coming in here. We need to know who would do us harm.
Are you confident that Homeland Security will have that done timely before any argument happens in October?
I think so. I think this is a focus. It's a focus that they brought up. They're totally committed. They understand the importance. Today, I guess, we've had new guidance regarding, did General Kelly talk about additional screenings or whatever?
Correct, yes.
So these are real threats. I mean, these aren't make-believe. These are real credible threats. And so this is the world that we live in. But with these particular countries, which the Obama administration identified, for increased screening, it's certainly not unreasonable to look at the procedures that we're doing.
It's like a masterclass in policy right now, Russ, on this side.
And it's not often you get a chance to speak to a United States Senator, so I'm going to
let you get the last question on this.
It's not even a question, I just want to throw out a couple of quick things. Hit nail on the head. What are we going to trust the Syrian Department of Motor Vehicles to pull records of people who are there? And,
And they talk about, looking in the file. Well, there's nothing. You can pull the file on a person.
Every 9/11 hijacker was here legally. They were suppophly vetted, and then they overstayed their visa.
In this case, though, there's nothing in the file.
Yeah, extreme vetting, I don't think that's, Donald Trump used the word extreme vetting, the phrase. It's not extreme. Let's figure out who these people are before they come
But
here.
that's the purpose of this, of what they're trying to do. Because you've got to have we've got to determine what the minimum amount of information that we need. These countries have to provide. If not, then they're not coming in, and that's, to me, is very, very reasonable.
Commonsensical, sir.
Common sense. The other side too is you don't want an Iraqi scientist, or somebody that is tops in their profession coming over, going to give a talk. Certainly those people should not be excluded. That's why they're working hard to differentiate and make sure we've got a viable system.
Like I said, it's like a masterclass in policy development right now. Senator, like I said, it's been an absolute pleasure and honor to have you on the show. Hope to have you on again soon. And I sincerely hope that the administration is listening to steady hands like you that have been in the trenches on this issue.
And not our senator.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say the name. I'll say the name after.
Either one of our senators, which... I can't. I'm sorry. I'm going to apologize to you. I'm very sorry.
Well, we've enjoyed working with the administration, and they are very, very serious about keeping us safe, protecting our borders, and so that's good. That's what they campaigned on, and that's what they're trying to do.
Hold their feet to the fire, sir.
Exactly.
Senator, it's an honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Behind Enemy Lines. It is our honor and pleasure to welcome to the show right now, from the 19th Congressional District in the great state of Texas. I think that is the official name, like the great state of Texas, right?
You got it right.
Congressman Jody Arrington. Sir, thank you for helping us Yankees out here. I really appreciate it.
We're very charitable people.
Yeah, I see that.
Don't mess with them.
So
thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here with
It's a
you.
pleasure to talk